Welcome to Turkistan TV News. United States expands travel bans on Chinese officials for persecution. AP News. The Biden administration on Monday expanded the existing United States travel bans against Chinese officials, whom it accuses of repressing ethnic and religious groups. The State Department said it's barring those targeted from traveling to the United States due to their involvement in crackdowns on freedom of speech and religion in China and abroad. The department didn't identify which officials would be subject to the expanded ban, nor say how many would be affected. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said in a statement that the sanctions are being applied to Chinese officials who are believed to be responsible for or complicit in policies or actions aimed at repressing religious and spiritual practitioners, members of ethnic groups, dissidents, human rights defenders, journalists, labor organizers, civil society organizers, and peaceful protesters in China and beyond. The move adds to visa restrictions originally imposed by Trump administration over China's treatment of Uyghur Muslims in East Turkestan, so-called China's Xinjiang region, as well as for repression of pro-democracy activists in Hong Kong and advocates for freedoms in Tibet. The United States rejects efforts by Chinese officials to harass, intimidate, surveil, and abduct members of ethnic and religious groups, including those who seek safety abroad, and the United States citizens who speak out on behalf of those vulnerable populations, Blinken said. We are committed to defending human rights around the world and will continue to use all diplomatic and economic measures to promote accountability. Just last week, the Justice Department announced charges against 5 men accused of acting on behalf of the Chinese government in series of brazen and wide-ranging schemes to stalk and harass Chinese dissidents in the United States. The criminal cases, filed in federal court in Brooklyn, alleged long-standing efforts to dig up dirt on dissidents, intimidate them, and stifle their speech. It's not the first time the Justice Department has brought charges for similar conduct. In 2020, prosecutors charged 8 people with working on behalf of the Chinese government in a pressure campaign aimed at coercing a New Jersey man who was wanted by Beijing into returning to China to face charges. Pakistan Prime Minister rakes up Kashmir, fails to speak against rights violation of Uyghurs by China at OIC meeting. First Post News. Imran Khan continues to support China in its policy regarding East Turkestan, despite human rights abuse in East Turkestan, so-called Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region. Turning a blind eye to China's suppression of Uyghur Muslims, Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan once again raked up the issue of Kashmir at the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, OIC meeting in Islamabad. In his keynote address at the inaugural session of 48th session of Council of Foreign Ministers of the 57-member body of Muslim countries, Khan said, "We have failed both the Palestinians and the people of Kashmir. I'm sad to say that we have been able to make no impact at all. They don't take us seriously. We are a divided house and those powers know it." With opposition leaders calling for no confidence motion against him, Khan, who is on shaky political ground in an attempt to deflect from the real problems of Pakistan, urged member countries of OIC to present a united front to make a significant impact on Palestine and Kashmir. China's State Councilor and Foreign Minister Wang Yi is attending the OIC session as a special guest at the invitation of his Pakistani counterpart Qureshi. Ironically, Pakistan Prime Minister Khan continues to support China on its policy regarding East Turkestan, despite the human rights abuse in East Turkestan, so-called Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region. For years, Chinese authorities have subjected Uyghurs and other Turkic people in East Turkestan to arbitrary arrest and detentions in internment camps, physical abuse, and restrictions on their religion practices and culture in what the United States and the legislators of several other Western countries say amounts to genocide and crimes against humanity. We are 1.5 billion people, yet we are not making a significant impact for Palestine and Kashmir. We need a united front, or else these atrocities will keep happening, said Khan. We are 1.5 billion people, and yet our voice to stop this blatant injustice is insignificant. We are not talking about conquering some country. We are simply talking about the human rights of the people of Kashmir and Palestine, added Han. His comments comes at time when a member of high-level business delegation, including those from the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and Hong Kong, are Srinagar to explore business opportunities. This comes months after Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha's Dubai visit. At the OIC inaugural address, Pakistan Prime Minister also raked up the issue of abrogation of special status to Kashmir. On August 5, 2019, the government of India had revoked the special constitutional status of the erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir under Article 370 of the Constitution and abrogated Article 35A. Article 35A had allowed G to K to define whose important residents are and what rights and privileges are attached to such residency. The former state was bifurcated into the Union territories of Ladakh without a legislator and Jammu Kashmir with a legislator. Pakistan has repeatedly sought to raise the Kashmir issue at the OIC against the backdrop of India's dramatically improved relations with the several key players in West Asia and in the Islamic organization, including Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Qatar, Indonesia, and Bangladesh. Take a key of present perspective. Han, in a subdued tone, urged OIC members to take a collective stand. He said, "I'm not talking about altering of foreign policies. All of us have different foreign policies. But on core issues, I'm asking the OIC that unless we have a united front, these abuses will happen, like in Palestine, where daylight robbery is going on." Turkistan Government-in-Exile made a comment about the OIC's attitude towards the East Turkestan issues. On its official Twitter, it tweets, "The Organization for Islamic Cooperation, OIC, continues to remain silent on China's ongoing genocide of predominantly Muslim Uyghurs and other Turkic peoples in East Turkestan, and instead, its member states are only expanding cooperation with China." Altaber from East Turkestan TV News reported.